Hi there, my name is Michael Rapino and this is Jason Tweed, and you're listening to the Digital Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast. This is episode 1, our very first episode. How are you, Jason?
I am fan-freaking-tastic.
That's good to hear.
To get us started, we'd like to introduce you to the PACE marketing platform. PACE is an acronym that we have developed, and it's designed around giving a big picture view for a small to medium-sized business in their entire marketing process. Because I think that that's one thing that small businesses fail with, is they often don't have a good grip on everything that their marketing should be doing. They are often focused in the business and not focused on the business, where they don't take that big picture. So we're here to give you a method that we use with our clients to teach them how to look at their marketing start to finish.
That's right. And the way we do that is, as Jason was saying, we break that up into 4 very distinctive steps.
Right. Those steps are the acronym we use is PACE, P-A-C-E. So let's tell you a little bit about the process. And then over the next 4 episodes of this podcast, we're going to go individually into each step in a little bit more depth. So this is our overview. Let's start with P. This is my area of expertise. P stands for planning and preparation. And there are 2 elements of that. First of all, we really encourage companies to have a formal written marketing plan. You need to plan in increments, quarterly, annually, and then 5 years. And I know that seems like a lot, but the reality is the longer you look forward into your business and how you want to grow, the more likely you are to actually achieve that growth. But generally speaking, when we work with our clients, the biggest focus is what are we going to do this quarter, next quarter, the quarter after that, and the quarter after that. The second element is preparation. And what we mean by that is marketing is a diverse set of skills. You have website developers, you have copywriters, you have photographers or videographers, you have people who need to be experts in online advertising and in traditional advertising. And no business, no matter how large they are, has every member of that team. So what we try to do is take the preparation step, says, okay, now you have a marketing plan. What skills are you going to need, and what assets are you going to need to carry out this marketing plan? And when are you going to need them? And that way you can identify what things you're going to do in-house and what things you need to outsource to a specialist. Web design is a great example of that, because lots of companies want to have somebody in-house to do web design, but generally spending $70,000 on an in-house web developer is not a good investment, because even the most complicated websites seldom require a full-time dedicated staff person. So it usually gets farmed out to an IT person or someone who, does general social media marketing, and then they get in and they're over their head when it comes to the actual website building. Michael, why don't you carry us through the next letter, A, Rich?
Sure. So A, art or artwork and assets, is after the planning and preparation phase. We're going to be talking thoroughly about your business and your branding and how to represent your business to your target market. And the best way to do that is to distinguish yourself among your competitors through unique artwork, unique branding assets, and we also have a thorough guideline that we call the branding style guide that you can take and use to continue the cohesiveness of your brand throughout all of the collateral material that you use to market yourself.
And I think that one thing that you mentioned, but I want to emphasize, is it's great to have unique marketing and unique branding, but consistency across your brand, I think, is just as important.
Agreed.
Because you can create a great commercial, but if nothing else in your marketing supports that or ties to that, that commercial is standing out on an island and it won't be nearly as effective. And that's disappointing when you have one great element that unfortunately isn't working well with your other elements. So
Right.
that style guide, I think, is a real essential piece, and probably the next thing that you want to create after your marketing plan.
That's right. Yep. So what we do is we have a thorough multiple conversations about what your business represents, how to represent it, and then we distill that information, because that information is obviously going to paint a picture. It's the context around your company and the culture of your company and how you want to emphasize that. And then we start with the basics. You need your brand built up from logo to color palette to typography, and we put all that into essentially your brand's Bible. And that Bible is what you can hand to anybody helping you with any type of artwork, any type of collateral material. And we do a lot of that for our clients, but the beauty of the style guide is that anyone who knows how to do it can take that style guide, look at your brand's component pieces, and use them properly. And that's the important part.
If you have an in-house graphic designer, but you're outsourcing your website development or your social media, then having those people all working from the same palette, in a sense, is critical.
Yeah, playbook. It's the playbook.
And then the next piece of that is assets. And we talked about having an asset library. Can you give us some examples, Michael, of what is in the asset library? And
sure, absolutely.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So on a regular basis, you're going to want to use the artwork on multiple different pieces of marketing. Okay, and it's very time consuming and expensive if you start from scratch every single time. Okay, so what that means is by building an asset library, you're doing two things. You're giving yourself access to already branded a framework, if you will, templates, if you will. Now, they're custom built. And I'm using the word template because now you have something where at any moment you can take something and use it for a campaign, okay? And that saves in time and money because over time, the ones that are effective, you say, okay, that was really good for our business. That people responded to that. So why throw it out? The baby
Right.
with the bathwater, so to speak. So what you do is you file that away as effective. People responded to it. We're going to keep that and use it again and again and again. And over time, you have a library of items so that you don't get stale. You can rotate through them. You could even swap photography out when, you have a piece that you used before a redesign of your building, and then you have photography from after the renovation, and now you could swap those pictures out. It feels like a brand new piece.
Exactly. I think one great example that we had with a client was it was a client that serves seniors, and we did a nice Valentine's Day Facebook post that said love never ages and showed a senior couple embracing, and it really resonated. People really responded to it, got a lot of reaction. But we're going to use it again next year on Valentine's Day. It's a once a year issue, so no one's going to remember it from the previous year, or if they do, it'll be a positive reinforcement.
Sure.
But that's a great little piece to put in their library and use it over and over again, because why not use stuff that works?
Right. And again, going back to the ability to use them as templates, say you wanted it to feel fresh and you wanted to swap that photo out for another beautiful elderly couple, that's totally doable. You could even rephrase the comment on the graphic, and now you've changed two things and it's even more fresh. So there are so many different ways to rotate through your library without making your marketing feel stale.
I think the biggest benefit of an asset library is the creativity time, because being creative is mentally demanding, and having the ability to harness that on a regular basis makes your overall content much more efficient to produce, and that saves you money.
Great.
Let's
so I
take
have a
look
question
at-
for you, Jason. So now we have all of this beautiful artwork. We must need to use it, right?
Exactly. You have your plan, which says, okay, we want to do, these are the goals we want to achieve, and the methodologies we want to use. We have the assets and the artwork, the style guide, and the what we call marketing collateral. And now it's time to put it into action. And this is what most people think of when they think of marketing. And that's campaigns and calls to action, the C in PACE. Marketing campaign is anything, and this is the way we define it, which is important. It's one message to one audience through one media with one call to action. And you may say, well, I need to reach multiple audiences. The problem is it's not as effective if you deviate from that. So a campaign, again, should be 1, 1, 1, and 1. Now you can have many campaigns, and you can have campaigns that overlap and run simultaneously. But the object is, and the most effective campaigns are the ones that are laser focused, not on an individual, but on getting that individual to do something. And that's what call to action is all about. Now we're going to go into this in depth because this is an important subject that we're going to explore in many future episodes. So I encourage you to hit subscribe on our podcast, and you will get much more information about campaigns and calls to action. The last thing I want to say is calls to action are critical. There is no marketing that is effective that doesn't tell people exactly what to do. There is branding, and that doesn't tell people what to do, but that's for your general field. But the things that create sales for your company is because you've called them to action. Let's talk finally about the E. And this is the area where, Michael, do you know a single client we've had that is effective at the last step?
It's quite a doozy of a step, and there are definitely more ins and outs to it than most of our clients would care to understand. Now we do have I will say we do have clients that focus on it, but it may be sometimes the wrong things. And what we're here to tell you is that, and we'll go into depth on this one as well in future episodes, that without understanding the data behind something, or even before that, the reason you're asking the question about that data, then there's no point in looking.
And E stands for effectiveness and evaluation.
Right, I should have said that, huh?
Yeah, we probably should have mentioned that earlier. But every marketing campaign, you say, was it a good campaign? And the problem is, my answer is always, I don't know until we look at the data. Because if you can't accurately say with data, it was a good campaign and here's why, replicating that is not almost impossible. So a good example was that little Facebook post we did for Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. What we knew is that got 80% more interaction on Facebook than every other post we did that quarter. And because of that, we felt it was valuable. It didn't generate any type of business necessarily. It was a branding, but the evaluation was it effective as a Facebook campaign, as a Facebook post? And we had data that suggested that it was extremely effective. Now, turning that into sales is a different type of evaluation, but also equally important. At the end of the day, there is only one number that really counts. That's the number at the bottom of your profit and loss statement. If it's red, it's bad. If it's black, it's good. Now, how big it is to the either red or black is how good it is or how bad it is, but ultimately that's the last bastion that most people stop evaluating too early, and they wait to see that number. And unfortunately, waiting and seeing is not an effective way to determine whether you were successful.
Now, if I may, I'd like to detail one other very important point for the letter E, and that is, and it comes back to knowing what you're looking at, knowing
Yes.
why you're looking at it. And I'll give you an example. An e-commerce website. Okay. A person that runs the store wants to get as many people to that website as humanly possible. That's their focus. And that focus is slightly naive, I'll just say it, because of this. Let's say that over time you make changes to your website and you have campaigns running and you bring 250,000 visitors a month, okay? But your sales don't go up. Why? Why aren't your sales going up? I have so many people coming to my website. Why is this not working? Well, the reason is that number by itself doesn't mean anything, and the changes that you make to get there don't mean anything without focus.
Yep.
And the data that you need to look at as a whole, the things that connect together, the things that affect one another, that's how you actually affect the change in your business and get the results you want. Because you may be bringing the wrong people to your website, and although that number is skyrocketing, it means nothing without the focus and the purpose behind it to target the right people, to bring those people to your website, to ultimately be able to talk to that person about their needs and sell the product that you're offering.
Ironically, sometimes it's what you decide to stop doing that doesn't seem effective that can affect the bottom line. A good example of that is a client was advertising in 3 different places online, and for their business, which was a high-end service business. And what they found was that one of those 3 venues did not do as well as the other 2 in terms of overall referrals, etc. So they cut their marketing budget in that area. And all of a sudden, the other 2 dropped off dramatically. And what we discovered is that the one website they were using was often the first spot that people started looking to do their research. And then they were going somewhere else to fill out the inquiry form. But that website that had the first spot, the introduction, that's not where they were when they went to make the application. However, they were the ones that were looking on multiple websites, and that first one had such credibility and such an importance overall that it contributed to the inquiries on every platform they were using. And we wouldn't have known that had we not followed the data very precisely. And we could see as soon as we moved advertising dollars from point A to point B, the point B numbers went down because we didn't realize how important point A was. So we shifted them back, and the following quarter, the numbers rectified themselves. And we understood the importance analytically, and you never could have gotten that information by doing it anecdotally and just saying, wow, our inquiries went down. Why is that? Because we're spending the same amount of money. But if you hadn't tracked all of those sources, you wouldn't have the good information.
Right.
Today, we live in the age of the internet and the age of information. And because of that, analytics are incredibly informative, but they're also incredibly complicated, and they really need an expert that understands the data, because the mountain is huge, but the gold is in the mine. It's not in the mountain. I think that that's important. So you need to find someone who's really good at mining for that gold.
And really, that is a general overview of PACE marketing.
Yep.
And that was the nutshell, folks. We dig deeper in the episodes to come on every single aspect of the PACE marketing system, as well as other juicy nuggets along the way. So we hope you join us.
Yep, we hope that you will accompany us in our mining for gold. I will say this: if you don't know how to do some elements, but do know how to do others, those are great clients for Mediastead, because we can help them understand this big picture and then fill in the gaps in the areas where they may not have strength. Some companies are really good at doing campaigns, really bad at planning or evaluating. Other companies are great at developing a plan, but implementing that plan is more difficult than they anticipated, or they don't do it as effectively as other professionals. So I think that it's important to understand your strengths and weaknesses, and putting them in this context of PACE marketing is a great way of doing that. I'm Jason Tweed. I'm here with Michael Rapino. We are the senior partners at Mediastead, and we'd love to work with you. But any small to medium business, the first thing you want to do to make yourself better is subscribe to our podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Take care.